Hey guys, my name is Dan, and this is Reaper, and how to use Kontakt and route the MIDI and audio outputs. So bear with me real quick as I set up an additional output so that you can hear the instruments. And probably can't hear them through the mic anyway, but whatever. So, all right, new virtual instrument, Kontakt. Double click. Do not auto assign all the 64 outputs. Brings up your guy. All right, so let's just build a couple of different instruments just to make things happen. All right, so we got two instruments. I'm going to reserve stereo 1 for previewing additional sounds and whatnot. So that leaves us with the need of 4 additional outputs to stereo. And so we'll go to the wrapper here and click on this, and then we'll go to 6. That'll give us 3 stereo outputs, and that way that sets the internal outputs to go from Kontakt to Reaper. Okay, if we make a sound, we are only triggering the first instrument because the first instrument by default is set to channel 1, MIDI channel 1, and the second one is set to MIDI channel 2 by default. And so that's just what happens by default. Now, we'll, to set the additional outputs, click on Output, the little plus sign there. It's already defaulted to stereo, which is the number of channels. And we need 3 of these stereo channels. So we click and drag up carefully to number 3. And then go to the standard host input. It says not connected, and just click on Kontakt stereo 1. Got to do that, or it doesn't know where to send the outputs. And then it's defaulted to tell you a sending auto output assignment. And then it's a good idea to click on the deleted existing channels before creating new ones, because otherwise you might have double outputs and stuff like that. All right, and then just push OK, and then you can verify down here that there's outputs 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. If you don't click on the output host and set it to Kontakt stereo 1, these will be dashes, and the sound won't come out anywhere. So we still are outputting stereo 1, and we've already told Kontakt to communicate with Reaper with three internal outputs. If you look over here on Kontakt, you can see that there are 6 little bars in the instrument track here, and those are the internal outputs. So those are ready, they're set. So set the rest of Kontakt up before we go into Reaper. So first instrument outputs on stereo 1, and like I said earlier, we're going to reserve stereo 1 for previewing additional instruments. It's just good practice to have stuff like that set up so you don't interfere with other things that you're currently working on. Stereo 2, outputs 3 and 4. I'll go down to the second instrument, go to the audio output, stereo 3, outputs 5 and 6. Okay, now your outputs are all assigned, and it's all good to go as far as Kontakt's concerned. And now you might as well go and set the MIDI outputs and go to port A, and then first instrument will go to 2, because again we're reserving 1 for the previews. MIDI channel, port A, number 3. Okay, now the MIDI, now there's separate MIDI and audio output for the instruments in Kontakt. They're communicating with internal outputs already set to Reaper. Now click off of it and Control T to create a couple of additional tracks, because we want to receive that audio. And it's just a good idea to set these. All right, now what Kontakt has to do is send these to the appropriate, connect the appropriate internal routing to new mixer buses. So you can click on one of these empty send bars, or on the route button down here if you're newer to Reaper, and then this window will come up. Either one you click on. Add a new send, output to track 2, which is assigned 3 and 4. Go to the input side of the audio, stereo or mono source, depending on what you want. 3 and 4. Reaper's pretty cool because you can assign split stereo, so to certain outputs, which can kind of be cool if you want. And then do it one more time. Actually, I didn't even have to click out of that. I could have just click on Add New Send again. Track 3, 5, and 6. Now it's set. Now if we trigger these instruments, audio will output out the new buses that we just set up. So click on this guy. Oh yeah, it's coming out 3 and 4. Great. Click on this guy. We are not outputting audio. Let's see what happened. Oh, I did not assign the inputs. There we go. So it's very precise. If you don't do these steps, it will not work. All right. We are good to go now. So now we have to do MIDI. So, and right now that requires additional, oops. So we got MIDI channel. We have to create additional tracks for this, and I'll explain at the end why. All right, so 2. Now we have to tell Kontakt, we have to send MIDI information to Kontakt if we want additional MIDI channels to affect things inside of Kontakt. So MIDI channel 2, we'll set up a send, add a new send to Kontakt, go over to the MIDI side, and just leave the all there because, you know, keyboard or software don't matter. And then click on the output, number 2. And then we arm this guy. Sorry about that. I forgot a step. When you do this and you're setting up the MIDI, you have to right click in this space right here where the dB meter is, and you have to tell it to input MIDI to this track. Oh, come on, you're back there. And just go to all inputs. Because by default, it's as soon as you arm it, it's going to receive audio from your hardware inputs. And you might be able to just change that in preferences. I haven't checked yet, but it's a little inconvenient if that happens. But yeah, so you got your MIDI outputs that you send that you set up to send to Kontakt. You've already set up the internals in Kontakt. Then you got to tell the track itself to accept MIDI. So once again, and then right away, we're just going to go ahead and tell it. That should have been the first thing I, told you guys to do. So MIDI, all channels. And then, of course, we'll just label it, whoops, channel 3, go to the send, add a new send to Kontakt, MIDI channels, this is 3. All right, now I can arm it and push the keyboard, and this will be the second instrument, the gentleman. Okay, and then I can arm this guy too, and then my keyboard will send MIDI output to both of these controllers to Kontakt. Oh, anyway, so that's how you set up the MIDI and stuff like that. There's your, that's pretty much the deal. Apologize about the feedback that happened. That was a momentary lapse in procedure. I forgot about that. Anyway, so the reason that you have to set up additional buses for the outputs is this. So let's, let me see here. Let's remove these tracks. And so we got 3 and 4, right? So it's accepting audio, and it's everything, and then I tried this at first. I was like, well, this is accepting audio from the instrument that is controlled by MIDI channel 2. So why don't I just take it and equip a send? And yeah, there we go, All right, we can set up MIDI. And MIDI to Kontakt, yep, let's send it to channel 2. And I'm going to verify I did that right. Yeah, to channel 2. And the MIDI Oh yeah, and that's whoops. Almost, I did it again. All right. Okay, so you got to tell it to accept MIDI because it was previously not set to accept MIDI. And then you go to play, it triggers, MIDI triggers it. You can see here the Kontakt's receiving the MIDI, but the MIDI isn't making its way all the way into Kontakt for some reason. Because you would see this little MIDI guy light up. So it's just the way it is right now. I'm trying to find a workaround, but it's just simpler right now to get it to work, just to set up the separate tracks. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. And if you guys watch this far into it, please throw it a like. Not to make me feel better or anything, but if this is like a video good for this cause, it'll increase the likelihood of it showing up for somebody else that's searching for this thing instead of having to browse through a whole bunch of videos. So whenever you see anyone's video that actually goes over something that's specific to what you were searching for, you should like it so that it shows up. Otherwise, if it's an unpopular video like the ones I make, nobody can really ever find them, because myself, I've tried to find tutorials for certain problems and whatnot, and sometimes I have to go through like 20 videos and search just to try to find this one video that where even though it says in the title exactly what I was searching for, it won't show up because some other video is more popular, because some guy is more popular for reasons unrelated to what I'm searching for. So that's just the way Google is now. So anyway, throw it a like if it works. Otherwise, happy hunting, and hope you guys have a good day. Thanks. Bye.